Well, I'll start. My name's Thomas Quick. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. And this is my 1934 Auburn. It's a 12-cylinder salon. My dad bought this car in 1960 when he was a resident in med school. And he and my mom drove this car daily for 3 years until my older brothers came along, and then they bought a station wagon, but my dad was smart enough to keep the car. So they drove it through the 60s as a fun weekend car to go to shows, and we did a lot of tours, and it got too small. So in about 1970, we started getting bigger cars, but we kept this one. And when he bought it, it had about 30,000 miles on it, and it's got 124 now, I just checked. So we have put 95,000 miles on this car in 55 years. My dad was the second owner, so I would be the third, my son will be the fourth. The reason we're here for the Concours d'Elegance is because I have twins, born 7 years ago, and my daughter has cerebral palsy. The car show is raising money for children's cancer, which is certainly something I can get behind. Having lived with a lot of healthcare difficulties, especially with my daughter, I can relate. And so this was something that when I heard about it through a friend of mine, we traveled 350 miles from St. Louis to come up here and show this car. And I brought my dad's 1929 J Duesenberg as well. So tomorrow we'll have 2 cars in the class, the Auburn Cord Duesenberg class. We have a Cord, I have a Cord, but we only had 2 cars in the trailer and the Cord wasn't quite ready. So that's why we're here.